Hey there, I just want to say yoga can be for everyone. However, it is your responsibility to determine if you are ready and able to perform this workout video. If you or a family member have a history of heart disease, high blood pressure, or are obese with any physical or medical condition that could be aggravated by a physical activity, please consult a physician before proceeding. If you are pregnant, also consider consulting a physician. If you have any history of injury such as neck, back, shoulder, or knee, please proceed with caution and stop immediately if you feel any pain, lightheadedness, or nausea. The user assumes all risks. Thanks, and I'll see you on the mat. Hey everyone, welcome to Connection Yoga. My name is Kat, and that was Roscoe Bear. He is always here, nearabouts, listening secretly while we break down yoga poses. He's absorbing it. He's actually a secret master yogi bear on the inside, so watch out for him. For all of us non-yogi bears out here, we're going to continue to learn and grow and deepen our practices. So we are breaking down two poses today, and they are just two variations of one pose, all right? And this is a cousin to some of the other poses that we have broken down. But as in when we're on the floor, when we're standing, when we are kneeling, different positions can access different poses, different things, even if it's the same physical kind of positioning. So without further ado, we are going to break down staff pose and seated forward fold. So they're very simple in general. They are symmetrical poses, so our legs are doing the same thing, our upper body is doing the same thing. Seated poses, one is up and one is forward bending. So staff pose, this is staff pose generally, all right? It's a beautiful, simple, powerful mother pose. So this is similar to our forward fold, our halfway lift, all of those things, but this is seated. So staff pose, starting with the feet through the legs, we want our toes and the tops of our legs pointing upwards, all right? So we are going to be working against the natural pull of gravity and with it in this pose. Gravity will seek to pull our feet open and rotate our feet outward. We don't want that. We want to keep our toes pointed up and straight, with our shins up to the sky. All right, so fight against gravity. Use your internal thigh muscles, your leg muscles to keep them there. Okay, so it might feel like a slight inward rotation, but it should be just enough to keep them up. All right, next, our hips are in flexion. So when we are standing straight, that is neutral. So bending is flexion. All right, so to help with this flexion here and keep our body erect, we are going to use our lower ab and our pelvis muscles. So right up in here, those muscles are going to pull the hips forward and under. So you're going to pull your upper body over to create this flexion, okay? So your core is working here. I'm feeling it right now. Next, our hip adduction, okay? So that is keeping our thigh bone in, like rotating inward and into our hip socket. So we are going to use our deep hip muscles and the muscle on the top of our thigh bone right here, all working together here to pull the legs in and pull the hip into flexion and abduction, okay? So knees are in extension mode, okay? So you don't want them locked out. You want them extending as you lengthen out the feet, lengthen out the quads into the hips. Next comes to our core. It is in neutral or axial extension. So we're sitting tall, going up straight, and our spinal extensors and flexors help us to maintain this neutral alignment. So we are working our back muscles to keep us erect, straight like this. So my body is working here, okay? Next, chest to hands. Our chest is pretty neutral here, open to the front. Shoulders are square to the front, stacked over the hips, obviously. All right, and our hands are on the earth by our hips. So this will be an example of what our arm length is compared to our torso. So you might have short arms, long arms, or average medium arms. And so if you have short arms, you might need to place your fingertips down to be able to reach the earth, or maybe even some blocks you could put them there, okay? Reach the earth and use your arms to help with that neutral spine extension. Medium arms like me, hands find the earth, and maybe use spider tip fingers a little bit, just so you don't lock out your elbows, okay? Elbows should extend a little bit, but we don't want them locked out again. So if you have long arms, you will have a slight bend in your elbows. You just want to keep them back and keep them close to the body, still allowing yourself to extend tall with your beautiful body, okay? So shoulder blades should be drawn down so that when you're pressing, it's lifting out of the core and not just pressing your shoulders up. So you keep your shoulders down, plugged into the back body, so that when you press the hands, yeah, it all works out. It all works together. You're looking at all the proportional differences and similarities in your body and your arm length. So it's a beautiful pose to explore these sort of dimensions, but also it will tell us right away if you have tightness in your legs. Totally cool if you do. So many people do. Don't worry about it. But this will show up in more complex poses. So if you are noticing it here, then it's going to show up when we're standing forward fold, when you are, there are so many other things that it would show up in. So if that's the case, that's totally okay. You just work it from here. Working your spine tall, working as you flex your feet, extending your legs. Maybe bringing in a block for a little bit while you're working on this and putting it under the legs, allowing them to release and lengthen safely without stressing. So if you feel any sort of like stretching sensation around your knee joints, your hip joints, you need to back off, bring in some props, and give yourself some support and space to be able to go into these poses. So another variation here to help yourself you can do is put a block under your hips. So I've always got a block pretty close. All right, put it under your hips so that it helps with the anterior tilt of your pelvis. All right, it starts to turn your hips up for you by having your legs a little bit lower than your body. And again, make sure that you are still extending here if you don't put a block under your knees so that they're not just falling down and locking out. We want to keep the extension by using our leg muscles to extend here. Okay, so just an option, things to consider. Another variation that you can do is first gaze forward, but there's the option to tuck the chin to the chest. Okay, so gazing forward, or if it's available, to tuck that chin to the chest. And it'll add a little bit of extra extension at the top in the neck area. But of course, if it's available, if it starts feeling like stretching, you want to back off, okay? Again, discomfort is okay, but never pain. So if that is all working for you, that is staff pose, we can take it to a seated forward fold. Okay, now allowing gravity to deepen your forward bend. So your legs are the same. You're going to set up in staff pose. You're tall, and then you walk your hands on the side of your leg, along the side of your legs, gently allowing gravity to pull that long spine of your torso forward, okay? So, to do this, your hip flexors now will need to pull your body forward, not just flex the hip, but pull the body forward, okay? So these core muscles are gonna be the effort that we need to put in to allow the back body, the back of the legs to passively lengthen as we fall forward. So you don't want to wrench yourself down here. I've tried it so many times, I used to think, oh my gosh, if I can't touch my head to my knees, what am I gonna do? That is crazy. And it's totally unnecessary because you can be right here and access so much within yourself. And it doesn't matter what our edge is, as long as we are approaching it safely, keeping our toes pointed up, our knees extending, our hips flexing, core working as we extend out of our heart forward, okay? It's not a bend, it's a forward bend, okay? So, again, you can stack up blankets, pillows, or again, a block under your hips, and that will assist in giving you a little bit more space to lean forward, all right? Because it helps tilt our pelvis up, again, assisting in that hip flexion, okay? And that, again, assists in lengthening our hamstrings on the back side of our legs, but in a less stressful way to the body. We don't want stretching sensations at our joints, okay? We want to keep them safe and focus on the whole length and extension instead of just parts. So now that we've talked about it all, we can talk about the whole. So you don't want it to just be lengthen the legs and then that's it. Then you're up here just casual on the top part, which you can be, but it can be so much more. Engage yourself and create a whole body extension. So we're working from the bottoms of the feet all the way back the legs, all the way up to the scalp fascia. Okay, we're working all of that in this pose. If you just allow yourself to extend gently with gravity, working forward, not just forcing it to happen, okay? Because forcing it is going to make it potentially worse, and it's not going to do anything, and no one's going to give you a prize if you do touch your head to your legs. So that's it. You find an edge and you touch it. You re-invite the breath in, re-establish the length if you can, and then exhale maybe to a deeper edge of that forward fold. Re-invite the breath in. Create this pattern of evolution and dynamic work into the pose, using the breath to not just keep functioning your body, rejuvenating the muscles that you are working, but also to create space within and allow that space to be something that we can access, to challenge ourselves into new depths. Our breath is so powerful. So that's it. That's this pose. Obviously, when you're sitting tall, this breathing should be a little bit easier since you're not constricted over on your diaphragm or your rib cage. So just be aware of that as well as you descend to whatever degree serves you best. That could change from practice to practice, week to year. Don't worry about it. Just remember those few things about your muscles and your spine that you want to try and keep in alignment to protect yourself. So that's it. Staff pose and seated forward fold. They are beautiful. I suggest that you do it every day if you can. They work amazingly. So if you have any questions, comment, concerns, put them below. I will happily answer. Otherwise, if you liked this content, please give me a like, please. And even better, subscribe. hit the notification button so you know when the next pose breakdown comes out, or when a flow comes out, or when I live teach on Wednesdays at 7. So that's it. Have a beautiful day, and namaste.